The kingdom of Arendor lay beneath a sky of unbroken twilight. The sun had not shown its face in centuries, and the moon ruled the heavens with a quiet, cold power. The people spoke in hushed voices, never daring to question the curse that had descended upon their land. In every stone of the castle, in every whispered prayer, the curse lingered like a shadow, a reminder of a dark history and a grim future. Queen Isolde, the last heir to the throne, sat upon the throne of Arendor, gazing out over her kingdom. Her regal beauty was unmatched, and yet there was an undeniable sadness in her eyes, a burden that seemed too heavy for anyone to bear. She was a ruler bound by the legacy of her ancestors, their bloodline twisted by an ancient curse that slowly drained the life from those who wore the crown. Each day she felt the curse tightening around her heart, like a heavy weight she could not escape. She had not seen the light of day for years, and with each passing hour it seemed the darkness inside her grew stronger. The throne she had inherited was both a gift and a prison. The people of Arendor needed her, yet she could feel her soul slipping away with every command she gave, every decision she made. There was only one person who could truly understand her suffering: Adric, the captain of her guard. He had sworn an oath to protect her, but there was more to his loyalty than mere duty. Beneath his cold exterior, Isolde knew that Adric had always held a deep, unspoken affection for her. He was always by her side, his presence a quiet comfort in a world that was anything but peaceful. But Isolde had never allowed herself to acknowledge the feelings that stirred in her heart whenever he was near. She could not. She could not afford to love him. Adric stood at the door of the throne room, waiting for the queen's command. His broad shoulders were tense, his eyes fixed on the queen as she sat with her hands resting on the armrests of the throne. He could see the exhaustion in her face, the subtle tremble in her fingers, the weariness in her posture. He had known for some time that the curse was slowly overtaking her, but there was nothing he could do to stop it. No one could. "My queen," Adric said softly, his voice breaking the silence. "You have not rested. You must take a moment to breathe, to think." Isolde looked up at him, her gaze sharp yet filled with sorrow. "I do not have the luxury of rest, Adric. The kingdom is in danger. The council is divided, and the rebels are growing bolder with each passing day. If I close my eyes for even a moment, it will all fall apart." Adric stepped forward, his expression unwavering. "You are not alone in this, Isolde. I will stand by your side, no matter the cost." Isolde's heart fluttered at his words, but she quickly pushed the feeling aside. She had no place for such emotions. If she allowed herself to feel, it would weaken her, and she could not afford to be weak. "I know you are loyal," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "But this is my burden to bear. I cannot drag anyone else into this darkness." Adric's eyes softened, and for a moment his gaze lingered on her with an intensity that spoke volumes. But before he could say anything more, a sudden commotion outside the throne room interrupted them. The heavy doors burst open, and a messenger hurried inside, his face pale with fear. "My queen!" the messenger gasped, dropping to one knee. "The rebels! They have taken the western border! They are marching toward the capital!" Isolde's heart skipped a beat, and for the briefest moment she allowed herself to show her fear. The rebellion had been a growing threat for months, but now it had finally come to a head. The curse had already made her a shadow of the ruler she once could have been, but now the kingdom was at risk of falling completely. "We must act now," Adric said, his voice calm but urgent. "I will gather the troops. We cannot let them reach the city." "No," Isolde said quickly, her voice firm. "We cannot fight them with force alone. We must find another way. There is a prophecy. The curse is tied to the throne, but there may be a way to break it. If I can find the source of this curse, I may be able to stop it once and for all." Adric's brow furrowed with concern. "What are you saying?" "The curse. It is ancient. No one has ever broken it. I know, Isolde replied, but I must try. She stood, the weight of her decision settling heavily on her shoulders. Adric could see the determination in her eyes, the fire that had never truly left her, even in the darkest moments. He respected her strength, but he also knew the danger she was in. The curse had already begun to take its toll on her mind and body. To confront it head-on would be to risk everything. You cannot go alone, Adric said, his voice firm. If there is any chance of breaking the curse, we will face it together. Isolde hesitated. She had never been one to rely on others, but she knew that Adric's loyalty was unwavering. Perhaps, for once, she could let someone else help her bear the burden. She nodded, a small gesture that spoke volumes. Very well, she said. But we must leave immediately. There is no time to waste. The two of them set off that very night, their journey taking them through the dense forests and across forgotten paths that led deep into the heart of the kingdom. As they traveled, Isolde couldn't help but notice the way Adric's presence seemed to steady her. His quiet strength was a balm to her restless soul, and for the first time in years, she felt something akin to hope. But as they neared the ruins where the source of the curse was said to lie, Isolde felt a chill in the air, a presence that made her skin crawl. Something was waiting for them. Adric, she whispered, her voice tinged with fear. Do you feel that? Adric's hand went to the hilt of his sword, his eyes scanning the dark forest around them. I do. Stay close. As they ventured deeper into the ruins, the air grew heavier, and the distant howling of wolves echoed through the trees. In the center of the ruin stood an ancient altar, the stones worn with age. It was here, according to the legend, that the curse had been sealed long ago. Isolde approached the altar with caution, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel the power of the curse radiating from the stones, an oppressive force that seemed to seep into her very bones. She closed her eyes, reaching out with her mind, trying to sense the source of the magic. Adric, she began, but before she could finish, a dark figure stepped out from the shadows. The figure was tall, cloaked in black, with eyes that gleamed like shards of glass. It was a presence both terrifying and mesmerizing, the embodiment of the curse itself. You are too late, the figure said, its voice cold and echoing. The curse cannot be undone. It is bound to the throne, and to you, Isolde. You will never be free. Isolde took a step back, her heart racing. Who are you? The figure smiled, its expression one of cruel amusement. I am the darkness that has followed your bloodline for centuries. I am the price you pay for the crown. Adric stepped forward, drawing his sword. We will find a way to stop you. But the figure merely laughed, its form dissolving into shadows. There is no escape, it whispered. Not for you, not for her. The air around them seemed to crackle with power, and as the figure vanished, into the night Isolde felt the weight of the curse pressing down on her, stronger than ever. Cliffhanger. The last words of the dark figure echoed in her mind, and for the first time in her life Isolde wondered if there was indeed no way out. Could the curse truly be broken, or was she destined to fall with it? The ruins were silent, save for the whisper of the wind that rustled through the broken stone walls. The dark figure's words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. There is no escape. Not for you, not for her. Isolde stood frozen, her heart pounding in her chest. Adric remained by her side, his sword still drawn, his eyes scanning the shadows for any sign of movement. He could feel the weight of the curse growing stronger with each passing moment. The very air around them seemed to thicken, as if the land itself was alive with ancient magic. The dark figure had disappeared into the night like a fading nightmare, leaving behind nothing but the echo of its cruel voice. But its warning remained etched in Isolde's mind. There is no escape. Isolde clenched her fists, trying to push back the fear that threatened to overtake her. She had come this far, risking everything to find the source of the curse. She could not turn back now, not when she was so close. "We cannot give up," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor she felt within. She turned to Aedric, meeting his gaze with determination. "I must break the curse. For this kingdom, for myself." Aedric nodded, though his expression was clouded with doubt. "I will stand by you always. But the path ahead is not clear, Isolde. We do not know what we are truly up against." "I know," she replied softly. "But we cannot let fear control us. If we do, we are already lost." The two of them continued their journey through the ruins, searching for any clue, any hint that might lead them to the truth behind the curse. But the deeper they ventured, the stronger the sense of foreboding grew. It felt as though the very stones beneath their feet were watching them, waiting for them to make a mistake. After what seemed like hours of searching, they found a small chamber hidden beneath a collapsed archway. The walls were covered in ancient carvings, their meanings lost to time. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, and on it, a small, ornate box, glowing faintly with a blue light. Isolde stepped forward, her breath catching in her throat as she approached the box. She could feel the pull of the curse growing stronger. Here, as if the box itself was the source of the dark magic that had bound her fate. She reached out to touch it, but before her fingers could make contact, Aedric's hand gripped her arm. "Wait," he said softly. "Something is not right." Isolde turned to him, her brow furrowed in confusion. "What do you mean?" "I feel it too," Aedric said, his voice low. "There is a trap here. A magic far darker than what we've faced before." Before Isolde could respond, the ground beneath them trembled, and the air grew thick with a chilling cold. The carvings on the walls began to glow, their ancient symbols pulsing with dark energy. Isolde's heart raced as the box on the pedestal opened of its own accord, revealing a swirling vortex of shadow and light within. "Aedric, we must—" But the words were cut off as the shadows exploded outward, enveloping them both in a blinding darkness. For a moment, Isolde felt weightless, as though she were floating in an endless void. The world around her seemed to vanish, leaving only the oppressive darkness of the curse. Suddenly she was pulled back to reality, her feet crashing against solid ground. She gasped for breath, her hands trembling as she tried to steady herself. When her vision cleared, she found herself standing in an unfamiliar place, a dark forest, where the trees twisted unnaturally, their gnarled branches reaching toward her like skeletal fingers. Aedric was beside her, looking just as confused and shaken as she was. His grip on his sword tightened, and he scanned their surroundings warily. "What is this place?" Isolde whispered, her voice trembling. "I don't know," Aedric replied, his tone grim. "But it's not real. It's a part of the curse. We've been pulled into a place between worlds, a place where the curse has its power." As the words left his lips, a low growl echoed through the trees. From the shadows emerged a figure, tall, cloaked in black, with eyes that glowed like embers. It was the same dark figure they had encountered earlier, but now it was more solid, more real. "You should not have come here," the figure said, its voice a low hiss. "You cannot escape the curse. It is bound to you both." Isolde took a step forward, her heart pounding in her chest. "What do you want from us? What is this curse? Why does it torment me?" The figure's eyes narrowed, a twisted smile curling its lips. "The curse is not mine to control. It is the blood of your ancestors that cursed you. The throne you sit upon, the crown you wear, it is all a symbol of your people's sin. And now, it is yours to bear. You cannot break what is woven into your very soul." Aedric's grip on his sword tightened. "Is there no way to break it? No hope?" The figure's smile widened, its eyes gleaming with cold amusement. "There is a way, yes. but it is not a price you are willing to pay. To break the curse, you must give up what you hold most dear, your life, your love, your kingdom. Isolde's heart twisted in her chest. You lie. There must be another way. The figure's laughter echoed through the forest. There is no other way. The curse has claimed you, and now it claims everything you hold dear. The throne is yours, but so is the price. Before Isolde could speak again, the figure vanished into the shadows, leaving them alone in the dark forest. The silence that followed was oppressive, and Isolde could feel the weight of its words pressing down on her. Adric turned to her, his expression dark and conflicted. Isolde, we must face the truth. The curse is not just an enemy, it is part of you. It is tied to your bloodline, to the crown you wear. Isolde's breath caught in her throat. She had known, deep down, that the curse was more than just a curse. It was a legacy, something that had been passed down through generations. But hearing it spoken aloud made it all too real. She turned away from Adric, her heart heavy with the weight of the decision she now faced. I cannot lose everything, Adric. Not my kingdom, not my people, not you. Adric stepped closer, his voice low and filled with emotion. You do not have to face this alone. Whatever the cost, I will stand by your side. Isolde looked at him, her eyes filled with sorrow. You don't understand. If I cannot break this curse, then we will both fall with it. I cannot drag you down with me. Adric reached out, taking her hand in his. Isolde, you are not alone. We will find a way, together. But just as their fingers intertwined, a powerful wave of darkness swept over them. The forest around them began to twist and warp, the trees bending and groaning as if alive. The shadows reached toward them, pulling them apart. Isolde's heart clenched in terror. No! She cried, her voice echoing through the dark void. And then, in an instant, everything went black. Cliffhanger. When Isolde opened her eyes, she found herself alone, standing before the throne she had left behind. But the kingdom was no longer the same. The streets were empty, the skies darkened, and the weight of the curse hung heavier than ever. Was it already too late to save Arendor? And would she ever see Adric again?